glory of the coming of the Lord. He is trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored.
I'm really pleased that I'm able to spend today and tomorrow in Nevada, and hopefully we will have some good receptions here. I'm expecting to have that. What do you think about what kind of reception we're going to get? Well, actually, the reception around the country has been pretty good, so we can't complain at all, and we're getting a lot more interviews and a lot more attention. Then on occasion, we do pretty well in fundraising. Every once in a while, somebody gets up and decides on a certain date to send in a lot of money, and they do. And that's been pretty exciting. But, you know, the important part of the fundraising effort and the support that we're getting, whether it's events like this or on the internet or whatever, it does speak volumes to the ordinary media. Because if they think there's just a couple dozen of us out there making a lot of noise, then they say you have no credibility. But all of a sudden now, they're starting to realize that there's more than just a few. There's a lot of people. The rallies are getting bigger. The money is coming in. And we have earned our way. We have, nothing was given to us. We didn't get, you know, the attention just automatically. Others have. And others gain their credibility by being supported by the very powerful special interests, so they have automatic funds and automatic support. I think this campaign is quite different, and it is for that reason that I deeply appreciate what you have done. But like I have told so many other people, I think of this campaign as not so much about me as much about our message. And our message is what has the power and the influence and is getting the attention. And I think this country is starved for it. I think they want to hear more and more about how important it is for us to live in a free society. You know, it's a lot of fun running for president, especially when I give my talks, because I can give the same talk to everybody and I don't have to worry about it. And the other thing is I don't have to make a lot of promises at all, because I'm one candidate that, of course, I readily admitted all along that I was very reluctant to do this, and but very pleased that there has been so much support. But I don't have to brag about my great knowledge, because I don't want to pretend that I know how to run your lives, and I don't want to run your lives. So, I also don't want to pretend I can run the economy, because I don't know how to run the economy, and I certainly don't want to police the world. I want to quit that business. But it does take a certain amount of decision-making and emphasis on a philosophy, and I think that's what is moving the campaign. And it is the philosophy that has made the country great. It's what the founders believed in limited government, emphasized personal liberty, never assuming that we would have a nanny state, a welfare state, that people would own their own lives, they would have the responsibility of their own lives, that they could work hard, and hopefully we get to the day where not only do we see that we have a right to our life and our right to our liberty, and we have a right to seek our fortunes, but we ought to have a right to keep what we earn.
Amen.
One of the important things going on in this campaign right now is emphasizing that liberty isn't chopped up into pieces. I think approximately 100 years ago or so, for some reason, our country got into this, got this notion that you had personal liberty and economic liberty, and they were two different things. But it's very important to realize that if you have a right to your life and your liberty, you have a right to do what you want in the social sense, as long as you don't hurt people, and you can make your own decision about how you want to run your own life. But at the same time, those voluntary associations socially are and should be identical to the voluntary associations in an economic terms, in the contractual arrangement. And the important thing about a voluntary arrangement, whether social or economic, that in a free society we have to be self-governing. That is, if we do make promises and commitments, we live up to them. Otherwise, the system doesn't work very well. And this is something that when I go to the campuses and talk to the young people and offer them a chance to look at a philosophy that they can sort of opt out of the system and get out of Social Security and all these other things, I emphasize strongly that you have to assume responsibility too. Because if we love freedom and then not assume the consequences of freedom, then it really doesn't work. And one reason why this philosophy is selling, and this program is selling so well today, is that I think a lot of Americans have awakened, young people as well as others, have awakened to the point where they can't depend on the government to deliver the goods anymore. It's at a point where it is very clear that they're very limited, whether it's looking at how they deal with hurricanes in New Orleans and Katrina, or whether it's fighting wars overseas, or whether it's giving us a sound monetary system. I mean, it's just all around us that the failures are there and the frustrations are there. Where I feel so good about what's happening is that so many people have thought along these lines but have more or less dropped out and didn't care, but they're joining us. But believe me, this message is resounding very well, and the young people are receiving this, and this is what I think is really pushing us along. But the campaign is moving along rather quickly. We're getting pretty close to these early primaries, this state included, and fortunately we have been able to raise these funds, and we will be campaigning a lot harder. And they used to use our campaign as an asterisk, but not any longer. They're seriously talking about it. And if you measure the success of a campaign by the attacks that you get, looks like we're doing pretty well. But so many people have come into the campaign, I think, with my very strong position on foreign policy. And it's really not my position, it's the American position, it's the constitutional position, it's a common sense position. And that is that we should talk about and follow through and have the foreign policy that the founders talk about and the foreign policy that the Constitution allows. And that is a non-interventionist foreign policy. That is, we have a strong national defense, we defend ourselves, we understand that borders are important, we protect our borders, but other than that, we just mind our own business and bring our troops home. Not only have so many people seen this as a failure overseas, it's become an economic necessity. We no longer can afford it. And all great empires end eventually, and it's usually not because another military power puts them down. It's usually because of economic consequences. And that's what we're facing today. So no matter where I go, all of a sudden the issue of the dollar, which is something I've talked about for 30 years, has become a very appropriate subject because it's in the news daily. And the government keeps telling us there's no inflation, there's no problems, and the economy is soaring, and the American people know that that isn't true. I've always marveled at the rallies and different places where I go because I talk so much about our problems. I do talk about our solutions, which are found in freedom and the Constitution, American traditions. But even though I spend a lot of time on the problems, it's pretty amazing how upbeat the campaign is. People feel good about it, and they're optimistic. And I finally decided that one of the main reasons for this, even though the emphasis is talking about the problems, is you can't solve our problems unless you admit there are problems. You know, just flat out saying you have economic problems. We have a problem of an invasion of our privacy here with our own government. We have a problem with our foreign policy. Then maybe you can be hopeful that you can solve this. And I think this has made this campaign different and unique. But I do want to deeply thank you for your support because it is an encouragement to all of us, not just to me, but to the others in the campaign. And for you to come out and financially support the campaign is so very necessary. It is a vote for freedom. It is a vote for assuming that if we defend liberty, that the responsibility of promoting virtue and excellence falls on us, not the government. Once we assume that a government is supposed to promote virtue and excellence and legislate it, it always fails. I mean, there are a lot of people who endorse our foreign policy for good reasons. A lot support our foreign policy for bad reasons, but most people sort of go along, and so much evil comes out of this pretense that we are doing good. So those individuals that would try to make you a better person through legislation, or make the economy fair through legislation, or make the world safer and more secure through legislation and war, it just doesn't work. I think we're seeing that coming together. It's an opportunity for us to promote this, and the reception has been very good.
And once again, I want to thank you very much. I'm very glad I got here before the party ended. Thank you.